Dear Reddit, what is the funniest real-life story you can tell? One day in college, the teacher had stapled answer sheets to the back of every test by mistake. A few minutes after passing the tests around, his phone rang and he stepped out. Everyone had noticed the answer sheet, and we decided that we would all use it and tear it off after. Hopefully, he would never notice. So I checked each of the answers and they were all correct except for the last one. We were to draw a flow chart for a process. I checked the answer sheet. Answers will vary. I drew my flow chart, tore off the answer sheet, and walked to the front podium to turn the test in. When I got to the podium, I had to know. I needed to see what everyone else had drawn for their flow chart. Answers will vary. Everyone had written that on their tests. I don't remember what the teacher did about it. Edit. Words is hard. High school, junior. Year. First day of class. Teacher walks in. It's an older, wrinkly guy with a stash. A little weird looking. His shirt is only tucked in on one side. Everyone is just getting the wrong vibe from this guy. Like, he's not all there in the head. He's got a manic look in his eyes. He's creepy. He starts going through attendance, not looking up the whole time. Then he gets to my name. Starts to say it, then stops. Looks up, scans the room, looks directly at me. Ah, Mr. 102194. I'm glad you're here. How's your family? Is your little sister still playing the piano? Is that model ship still on your dresser? Is your room still blue? I'm shocked, mortified. I can't find the words to respond. This creeper has just described my family and the fucking room I sleep in at night. Ah, of course it is. It's only been, what, a week? Then he goes back to attendance. Panics were had that day. But anyway, the next day I find out the old crazy guy is my uncle's best friend, and they and my dad decided to pull a prank on me for my first day. The teacher wasn't so crazy looking the rest of the year. He shaved the pedo stash, which he grew specifically for the prank, apparently, dressed better, stopped making his eye twitch, etc. I have to admit, it was a good prank, even if I was terrified of being murdered for a day or two. I am an American in China, and I arranged a meeting with a guy from Germany. I go to his hotel. He says, "I'm coming down in the elevator." The elevator opens, and the only Western face I see is a guy looking for me, or so I thought. He introduces himself with a thick accent. We talked for half an hour before we both figured out that we were supposed to be meeting other business persons. And, yep, there they were in the elevator area waiting for us. Another American and a German. Go figure! After having sex with the fourth girl of my young life at the time, I decided to get an STD check. Not for any physical reasons, mostly for the emotional reassurance. Anyways, I called my neighbor across the street who is 3 years older than me, basically my big brother, and I told him that I made an appointment to get checked, and I asked him what it entailed. He said it wasn't too bad. They did a sperm sample, swabbed his dick, checked his blood, etc., etc. So I felt pretty prepared going in there a few days later. On my way to the clinic, I was feeling pretty nervous to ejaculate in a cup, but I reassured myself that it was going to be fine. When I finally got there, an older lady called my name and handed me a clear cup and escorted me to the restroom and said, "Please go in here." I was picturing more of a comfortable room where I could do my private thing of choking my chicken, but I thought, fuck it, the bathroom will suffice. I remember looking around for some pornographic material because my neighbor said that they provide you with some, but there was nothing. I remember thinking, what the fuck? This place just expects us to use our imagination? Disappointed, I said, oh well, not like I haven't used just my imagination before. So I began, yes, masturbating over the sink. Anyways, I remember amazingly rubbing one out pretty fucking fast. Almost too fast. So I thought that I'd wait in there an additional 10 minutes because I didn't want her to think that I was some type of freak. After waiting in there for what felt like an eternity, I finally handed my semen-filled cup back to the old lady nurse who acted impatient and upset that I took so long. I began following her down the hallway. The woman set the cup on this desk table thingy, looked at it, and then picked it up again, and she jiggled the cup a little bit. She stopped, I held my breath as I looked at her face as I saw it turn from confusion to sheer horror. She turns to me and goes, Sir, we only needed your urine." I will never forget the feeling that I had at that very moment. My face got red, I felt immediately hot, my legs felt weak. I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. There have been so many embarrassing moments in my life, but luckily, I can think pretty quickly on my feet, and I can dig my way out of most uncomfortable situations. As for this moment, there was no fucking shovel in sight for me to dig myself out of. Nothing to say, nothing to do, I just stood there terrified. I just jizzed in a fucking urine sample cup, and now this poor elderly woman who was probably months away from retirement was now horrified and confused as she was gripping a hot cup of my potential babies. I'm guessing the clinic never trained her for situations like this. Even if she had made a joke to lighten the mood, it would have been better. It would have killed the tension in the room. Instead, she remained stoic. I felt awkward and scared. I felt like a monster. After going back to pee and a few tests later, I got the F out of there. After much reflection, though, I now think that she deserved it. Because honestly, yes, I did assume that she wanted a sperm sample, but the woman never specified what she wanted. Therefore, she assumed I knew too, and when both people are assuming, chances are that one of them is going to get a cup full of the other one's jizz. It's just the way it is. God, I still cringe just thinking about that day. Sometimes when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I randomly think of that old woman's face as she realized that she's holding a cup filled with my hot semen soldiers, and I just bust out laughing and shake my head. Good times. My ex-boyfriend's mom had her eye makeup tattooed on and sent her kids, who lived with her at the time, to the store for a couple of things. It wasn't until my ex and his brother were in the checkout line receiving funny looks from the clerk that he realized that they were two lone men buying nothing but cucumbers and Vaseline, which his mom wanted to soothe the swelling from her eyes. My ex panics and blurts out, "No, it's okay, he's my brother," while gesturing to his brother. They received major teeth faces. He just stopped talking, figured there was nothing he could do to salvage the situation, and just accepted the judgment. One time in college, my buddies and I were out at the bars. One of my friends successfully picked up a co-ed and brought her back to the house. It was late in the spring and was hot, and the old house we were in didn't have AC. When this happened, we usually slept on couches and hammocks that were out on the front porch. A few of us were out there for a while, when one of my buddies got the genius idea to climb on the roof of the front porch to spy on our other buddy getting some. He couldn't make it up by himself, so I boosted him. Tried to follow him up there, couldn't make it, and fell back to sleep on a couch. Next thing I know, there are 5 cop cars out on the street out front, shining their spotlights at the porch roof. My buddy had passed out with his head resting on the windowsill, and the neighbors had called the cops. Now remember, it was hot outside, so he was just in his boxers. He eventually got down and explained the situation, but ended up getting arrested anyways because his dumbass gave a fake name for some unknown reason. As he was getting put in the back of the car, he was asking the female officer arresting him what time she got off work. The next day we went to bail him out, but the cop said one of us had to blow 000. I made the attempt, successfully got the 000, and the cop gave me a high five, and my buddy came out in paper pants. TLDR, buddy spied on other buddy, passed out, cops called for peeping Tom, buddy arrested for false name, bailed out by blowing 000, received high five from cop. Necessary setup fact number 1. There is a town called Temple in Texas. Necessary setup fact number 2. I have a very Jewish surname, but was raised Catholic. I know very little about Judaism, and rarely even consider the fact that most people assume I'm Jewish when they meet me. Now the story, which probably won't seem as funny since I just had to explain all that first. My wife and I were at a party in Houston and mentioned to someone that we'd just moved to Austin. One of the questions we were asked was, "Have you been to Temple yet?" They meant, of course, a synagogue. My response was, "We drove through one time, but we didn't stop." Bonus story. One time, I happened to be walking out of work at the same time as my boss. He asked me, "Are you doing anything for Yom Kippur?" My answer was no, but tell him to call me and I'll do whatever I can to help him out. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have made it this far into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit stories. And for another video just like this, check out the video on screen.